Hi there, Scary Gary. Man, I'm glad you guys came back. I hope everybody's being safe out there. Today we're going to talk about repairing the bottom of my trailer. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the blowout that I had. Destroyed a small section of the bottom of the trailer. We need to talk a little bit about trailer construction, maybe to start out with. The floor that is in my trailer, the top of it is vinyl, and there is an actual geotextile fabric that's underneath it, but the main part of the floor itself is basically a 1/4 inch of plywood, about 2 inches of polystyrene, and then a 1/4 inch of plywood. Now these are all one piece. Now, as you saw, when I had the blowout, it ate through the plywood, it ate through the polystyrene, it ate almost all the way through the other plywood on the top, and I could even see some vinyl in a few places in it. Now, with this floor system, or with any trailer, we've talked about this before, moisture is not your friend. So getting any moisture in the trailer was a concern. So I actually began this repair up in Missouri, where I bought a can of Flex Seal, and I sprayed underneath it for the main reason we had rain in the forecast, and I didn't want to have a situation going down the road where I was going to kick water off the road up there, and then it would get into that floor system, and then, like I say, moisture's not our friend, so it was not going to be very good. So I sprayed it with the Flex Seal to start out with to seal it off. Then when I got back to Houston, I went ahead and did the full repair. Now, the first step of this was buying the components. I bought some liquid nail, some more Flex Seal, and some spray foam insulation. Now, there's two specific kinds of spray foam insulation. One that is the expansive kind, and there's one that's not quite as expansive. If you've ever used this before, both of them expand. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that. The one really expands. And I have done work in the house where I put it around the door and then I had to take it all out because the door swelled out so much I couldn't even get it shut. So I went with the non-expansive material. And then I bought a piece of 12-inch by 18-inch galvanized sheet. And that was going to be what I used to replace the plywood on the bottom. 12 inches by 18 inches was large enough to cover the entire damaged area. So I took the galvanized piece of sheet metal and I drilled holes around the outside of it, which would allow me to screw it to the bottom of the trailer in the non-damaged area. Then I also drilled some holes in the middle of it. I made a template to start out with to show me where that was at. So that gave, and these holes were actually a little larger in size, which allowed me to get the spray foam in the bottom of the trailer. So first step was removing whatever damaged material, the geotextile fabric and things like around the edges of it.
Next was putting a liquid nail around the perimeter of the plate.
Next step, screwing the sheet metal plate to the bottom of the trailer. Next step was putting the spray foam up there. Now, I need to do a little aside here. I was fighting this when I was trying to do it, and I decided, what would be a good thing to do would be take the darn tire off. And when I take the tire off, then I have complete access, and Cheddar's trying to reach up there underneath it and around it and squeeze underneath it and everything. And this is when I determined something that I'm going to utilize, which I have utilized since that time, is I have an LGI leveling system. And when I utilize that in manual mode, I can pick up one side of the trailer where I get the wheels off the ground and get the tires off. Very simple. So I got the trailer off the ground. I took the one Pacific tire off, and then I add good access up underneath it. So we put the plate up there, this galvanized plate. We have placed the styrofoam inside it, and I filled it up kind of equally in different holes so that I could see it coming out. And then I let it expand enough, and some of it dripped out. I actually covered up my wheel so it wouldn't get on it, because one thing about this stuff, when you get it on you, whoo, it's tough. But I let it expand. I let it harden to some degree. I scraped it off clean. And then my last step was I basically took Flex Seal and I covered the entire bottom surface of it. That basically made it watertight. Now the galvanized sheet metal cost a little under $9. And this whole operation was somewhat of a pain, and I didn't want to have to go through it again. So I went ahead and purchased 3 additional pieces of sheet metal. And I took one piece of sheet metal and put it above all of the remaining 3 tires. So if I ever do have a blowout, what'll happen is it'll go up there and hopefully be against the sheet metal and not against the bottom of my trailer and cut another hole. I also used the Flex Seal. You don't use a full can of it when I covered just the one, so I was able to use the Flex Seal and cover the other 3 tires. This hopefully makes it so if I have another blowout, it's not going to do as much damage as this first one did. Well, I hope this has been informative, and I truly hope you don't really have to do it, but I would strongly recommend spending the $36 for 4 pieces of the sheet metal and doing that to the bottom of your trailer, just so that you don't get into one of these situations where it's going to cause more problems. And it doesn't take that much work to do that, because by far the repair of the floor took twice as long, or maybe even 3 times as long, as placing the sheet metal above the 3 other tires. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and I sure hope to see you next week, guys.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up.
Turn on your post notifications.
Put the comments down below. Subscribing will make me happy.